Everybody, I'm Scott Weichel right here on My Kind of Country, Fish Creek Radio. I'm not going to pull any punches for this one, folks. I'm real excited to have this gentleman on the show with us tonight. He's one of my all-time favorites, and he's got over 50 years in the music business and sold tens of millions of records. He's had 36 number one and over 50 top 10 hits. He's won numerous country music awards, including Entertainer and Male Vocalist of the Year. He's had 30 gold and 4 platinum albums worldwide. He's a Grammy Award winner and a member of the Grand Ole Opry and the Country Music Hall of Fame. Truly a worldwide superstar, it is my honor to welcome the legendary Charley Pride to My Kind of Country. Charley, how are you?
Hi, Scott. How you doing?
It's wonderful to have you on the show. Thank you so much for taking time.
Thank you.
Well, your songs have so much staying power, Charley, and they become classics, and you can relate to them, and I think that's something to really be proud of, and I know all your fans are proud of that too.
Yeah, I'm a very blessed person to be able to have made so many fans around the world, and I do appreciate that.
Well, I know they appreciate you too. There's just so many great songs, and I want to talk about some of those. And I want to go back. One of my very favorite songs, I believe this was your first big single. It was "The Snakes Crawl at Night." Can you tell me a little bit about that song?
Well, I lived in Montana at the time that I received those songs. Mel Tillis wrote both sides of my first single, and they gave me that one and about 5 or 6. I used to remember all of them. When I went through Nashville on my vacation, and I was on the show with Red Foley and Red Savine up in the Montana when I lived in there. I was trying to, how I guess everybody probably is aware that I segue out of baseball into this business, and I went backstage, and the promoter gave me a chance to sing a couple of songs on the show, and they both they both told me you ought to go to Nashville after they heard me. The guy that did the most of it was Red Savine. And I did. I went down to the Mets, and by the way, I see they got two up on the Cubs right now.
Yeah.
The Mets, and of course Casey Stengel was managing them then. Well, he didn't look at me, but anyway, I went back through Nashville and went into Cedarwood Publishing Company, and they sent me downstairs to actually, Webb Pierce was at Cedarwood Publishing and told him to take me downstairs, and a guy by the name of Jack Johnson listened to me and gave me told me to wait, Cedarwood, Webb Pierce told me to wait till Jack Johnson come back, so he listened to me and went and met Jack Clement, and I went down the next year on vacation, and they put me in gave me a session, Jack Clement did, and the Snakes Crawl at Night was cut, and Chet Atkins took it to Monterey, California, and let all of the big wigs at RCA hear it, and then from that, that's the way the Snakes Crawl at Night came about. It was Snakes Crawl at Night, and take that night train to Memphis and Atlantic Coastline, a couple of others, and but Just Between You and Me, in fact, was part of that. That's the 5 or 6 songs, or 7 songs they gave me.
Oh, that's a great song too. Marty Stewart did a real good version of that a few years ago. I don't know if you ever heard it or not, but he did a good job on it.
Which one was that?
Just Between You and Me.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
I remember somebody, but I didn't realize he had did it too. But somebody else, I believe, did it too.
Yeah, he did a good job on it. And of course, it doesn't match the original. That's another classic, that's for sure. Now, how did they come up with the moniker Country Charley Pride?
Well, Chet Atkins, that was his decision. In fact, on that single "Snakes Crawl at Night," there were 3 producers on that single, which was it was actually 4. It was Jack Clement. Chet Atkins, Felton Jarvis that was producing Elvis, and Bob Ferguson that wrote Wings of a Dove. So all 4 of them was on the record. And people, after I got going and started, they said, "Did it take 4 guys to produce you?" And Chet Atkins, I said, Chet Atkins thought he would. He didn't want people to think it was a joke or something once they found out the color situation. So he wanted to make sure that didn't want to think that was a joke, you know.
Uh-huh.
of me on the label, because they didn't give out no thing about color or nothing like that. They just sent the record out there and let it speak for itself.
Well, it spoke in volumes, that's for sure. It made you a major star just right out of the gate, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it was very difficult marketing back then as opposed to the way it is today, and that's something to really think about. You know, that's quite a slice of history there.
Yeah, they got ways now. I mean, so many Twitters and tweets and tweets.
Oh yeah.
Things now. It's just like a sea of things like they can do promotion now.
Well, tell me, you did a fabulous album called Live at Panther Hall. Tell me a little bit about that album.
Well, my wife got to talking with Jack Clement, and she told him, she said, I tell you what you ought to do. You ought to go see him live, and it'll help you a whole lot. She said, well, I don't need to go see him. She said, really, you ought to go see him. So he did, and he got the idea when he saw the reaction of the people and everything. He said, that's what he did. He set that recording session up at Panther Hall, and it was, in fact, before, I don't think it's enough there now, but he had enough on that particular session, live session, to do enough songs, rather, we could did another live album.
Oh wow! Oh, I'd like to see him put that out. That's a great album. Who was the?
His house burned down just before he passed away.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Jack Clement, and I don't think they've got. I don't know if they saved that or not.
Oh man, I sure hope they did. Who was the steel guitar player on that album, Charlie?
Lloyd Green.
Oh man, he was fabulous. And I believe Lloyd Green also came up with a little ditty for Freddie Hart's "Easy Lovin'," that little dit song in there.
Oh, is that right?
I do believe so. Yeah.
Well, you might be right. He goes on. That's who mostly Jack Clement used on my session was Lloyd Green.
Man, he was great on that live album too. That was just fabulous. And you had a song.
In fact, Scott, my first TV show that I did was Lawrence Welk show, and the national television show that I did was Lawrence Welk, and Lloyd played on that with me.
He did?
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Well, I have a 9-year-old daughter, and she absolutely loves your version of Kalijah. And of course, that's an old Hank Williams song, but I'd like to know how you came up with your version of that and how you put that little wah thing in there.
Well, when I was growing up, I could use my voice to imitate any sound that I heard, and I just the way I felt to just go, different things, high clips and things like that. And in fact, a person told me before I ever started singing anything, he said, because I can imitate cows and chickens and just about anything, and because the guy that rented the first 40 acres to my dad, because we didn't do nothing but have sharecropping while I was growing up, he used to call me Old Mockingbird because I would win most all of the I'd go to 4-H club and imitate all those things, and I'd win just about every year when I was going to school. And he said, when you get older, you ain't going to be able to do all of that. And sure enough, the older I got, the more I could do all of those, everything that I tried to imitate.
Well, that was the reason I mentioned that was on that Panther Hall album, and I think that's actually the single they put out was the live version. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. On the album, I said on there, that I don't do every the way I'm gonna do it the way I learned it on the radio, and I just went into it, and that's the way I sang it. And, it came out like that, and that's the one that Jack Clement used. It was number one for me, but like you said a moment ago, Hank Williams wrote and sang it too.
Well, that's great. Tell me about a song that was that you recorded. It was written by Merle Haggard called "A Shoulder to Cry On." That's one of my favorites.
Yeah. All right. What happened is that Merle said he was going to sing one of mine. At that time, I had my own publishing company, and if I remember right, he was going to do one on mine from my publishing, you know.
Uh-huh.
But I didn't do it because just for the publishing. I liked the song, and I think I don't know, it might have went to number one too. I don't know all the songs. I don't remember all the songs that went to number one, but I had about 30-something. But anyway, that's the way that came about.
That's a great
song. He wrote
song.
that song, and I did it.
That's a great song, man. Well, you had a fantastic cover of George Jones' "Why Baby Why," and that was a number one hit for you too. How did you come to record that one?
Well, we just recorded it. Jack Clement and I. I'm trying to think. It was a Jack or was I had after Jack Clement with Nora Wilson. I don't know which one of them it was, but of Nora or the other. And then plus Owen Bradley's son, Jerry Bradley, that ran our RCA after Chet left.
Well, that album was you did a whole album of country classics, and that's what it was called too, Country Classics. So you covered a whole lot of great songs.
Well, I do it on the show in a medley right now.
Oh, do you?
You mean the no, I'm sorry, I was a honky tonk. I'm a honky tonk.
Honky Tonk Blues?
Honky Tonk Blues I do on and in a medley now.
Yeah.
Get them mixed up.
How do you choose what songs to perform in concert? You know, you've got such a wide catalog. How do you choose what songs you're going to?
You just said it. It's really not hard. It's just a matter of how much we want to change around. There's certain songs we have to keep in the show, and that will always be in the show. You know, I've had. A lot of people haven't had but one signature song, just one signature song. I'm fortunate enough to have 4 or 5.
Yeah.
So I have to do those. So what we do, we try to wrap around all of those 4 or 5 different changes and so forth. That because out of the 30-some number ones, you just don't do number one hits on shows. That people have taken my albums and all and about request songs that you get so many requests from album cuts, you have to try to slide those in around all those songs.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you've had some great album tracks too, man. That's
yeah.
You know, oh my gosh, I could just sit here and go down the list. But
well, I'll give you an example. We were in Nottingham, England, back when I wasn't drawing it like thousands of fans, and I was signing autographs in Nottingham, England this particular time, and we had just gotten over there first week, and we received a letter from a lady in East England, which was, I think it was Norwich or Ipswich, Norwich or Ipswich, one of those.
Mm-hmm.
And she asked for a song called, I thought it was Brand New Bed of Roses, but I forget my keyboard player said it was a different one. But the key thing is that this guy was coming through the line. The song that was in that album, and I signed it. And I said to him, do you live here in Nottingham? He said, yes, I do. I said, would you call me at whatever hotel we were staying at? And he called me, and I had my Sony tape recorder, little tape recorder, and I taped it, and when we got to that town, I was on stage, and I called her name out, and she kind of screamed, and I said, I have this letter here, you asked for this particular song, and what I did, I asked him to call me, and I taped it on the tape, and we worked it up, the band, when we got there. We said, we'll do it for you, and I said, if you'd like to have the letter, I'll come up and I'll sign it for you.
Oh, wow.
And then, but I had to say this, I said, now, ladies and gentlemen, I don't do this all the time. I said, because if I did this everywhere I go, I'd never get around during the show.
Yeah.
It just happened. So I explained to him what happened, how that came about. That's a good example of, of trying to give you a good example of what happened.
Oh, I'm sure everybody has their favorites of yours too, and I know I certainly too. The Easy Part's Over, and of course, is anybody going to San Antone, and Does My Ring Hurt Your Finger? Tell me, when you did Kiss an Angel Good Morning, did you think it would be the monster hit that it became?
No, I thought it'd be good, but I tell you this, I could not wait to get it in the studio to do that song. And so it ended up, I think it went to about 17 or 18 on the pop list, or maybe even higher. It's the only one that's crossed over for me. And in fact, you know, that was at a time when the country music station was playing pop songs by pop artists, more lenient about playing them than they were about us. And so there's a guy he had about lived here in Dallas. He had about 4 or 5 radio stations at this guy. He was a baseball announcer, and he had all those radio stations. And I said, his name was Ken. I said, Ken, when it got to about 30, you know, on the charts, I said, when you gonna start playing me? He said, well, we'll see. Then it started. It got to 20, and I said, well, when? He said, finally, he said to me, he said, we're not gonna play a song with a steel guitar on it. That was his reason. So anyway, I just want to give you that little, share that with you.
Wow.
And but it crossed over. It was the only million-selling single I ever had. And I've had, you know, lots of album million sellers, and the best of the best was sold 1 million copies.
Wow.
So I've been very fortunate.
Well, I guess so. Well, you have a obviously an admiration for Jim Reeves, and you had a big hit with one of his songs called "I Know One," and then some years later you recorded a tribute album to him.
Yeah, I did. Jack Clement, my producer, wrote that song, and he just between you and me, I know one. I can't think of all of them, but I've recorded quite a number of his songs. The writer that I've recorded most of his songs was Ben Peters, that wrote "Kiss an Angel Good Morning." I recorded 31 of his.
Is that right?
And I think that the next guy would be Johnny Duncan. But people ask me, when you write songs, I sing other people's songs mostly. I wrote one song in my Christmas album called "Santa and the Kids."
Wow. Well, you've got a good knack of picking out songs, anyway.
Well, let me tell you how I feel that's the way that happened. We go back to when we first started this interview.
Uh-huh.
I mentioned, you know, that I took 5 or maybe 7 songs down and ended up with "Just Between You and Me" and "Snakes Crawl at Night." That's what I ended up with when Jack Johnson, you know, at Cedarwood. Remember that one? What we talked about?
Yeah.
Well, what happened is that let me see how I want to explain this. Where were we on what you see? I talk tangential sometimes.
Well, you were talking about the first songs, "The Snakes Crawl at Night," the 5 or 6 songs you had there.
Well, I really didn't want that for my single when I recorded it, but I wanted "Just Between You and Me" because that's what we recorded. We recorded about 3 songs on that session.
Uh-huh.
"Snake Crawl at Night" and "Just Between You and Me." But let me tell you, Jack Clement said, "No, we're not going to put out." He didn't want people thinking he's pushing his songs off on me too early. So that's the song we came up with to be my first single, and so that's just, well, that's the way it turned out. But what we were talking about songs, you were saying that I like to pick songs. Jack picked most of our songs. Jack Clement did.
Uh-huh.
For a long time, but he would let me tell him what I liked and what I didn't like.
Okay.
And so once he picking all the songs in that one, but before I Met You, that was my first and second release as a single. But then when he released, I told him, I said to you, I said, Jack, I would like "Just Between You and Me," and he said we're working on do that. I said, okay. But now as soon as it was my 3rd single and went to number 9. So I said to myself, from now on, I'm going to just try to tell the truth. If I get this song, I'm gonna say which one I like and which one I don't like, and that's the way I'm gonna do it. And that's the way I've done it all my whole career.
Good for you.
It seems to me if I like them, my fans like them.
Yeah. Well, I think if you like a song, you probably put a lot more feeling into it too.
No. I put a feeling in all of them, but it's so. For example, Jack said this to me too. He said, if we get a song that we think it's a B song, we want to make it an A song when we go in the studio. If it's an A song, we want to make it a double A. If it's a triple A, we want to make it every single. We wanted to sing it as if all of them could be singles, and that was our philosophy.
Wow, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Well, folks, I want to remind you to go to charleypride.com, and all of your information is there. And you've got a Facebook page, and you obviously can order music. A lot of your albums have been reissued onto CD, and most of them have like 2 albums on a CD. And it's really good that those are in print again. And so you can get all that information there at the website. And your latest album is called Choices. Tell me a little bit about that one.
Well, when I got ready to do that particular CD, my wife said to me, she said, well, you got some good songs, but why don't you go back and maybe you could find maybe even some better ones. So what I did, I went back like what you would call to the well. Crystal Chandeliers was written by Ted Harris. So he sent me 3 songs, and I think I cut about 2 or 3 of those. And then I went back to Ben Peters' Kiss an Angel Good Morning. She sent me on that album, it's called Except for You. And so those were the 2. But now the guy, Ted Harris, wrote the one called Choices. So my people decided that that's what they would call the latest CD, Choices. So that's
great.
The way that happened.
Great album. Well, you had, Charlie, back in the 90s, you had a tumor removed on your right vocal cord. Tell me a little bit about that. How did that affect your voice, and what was it like going through that?
Well, I lost the low part of the low part bass, my bass tone, way on down, way on down. But all the highs I didn't lose. Once because it had started to affect the second vocal cord, but he didn't have nothing to do. He just kind of I don't know how to laser that off, but he had to do a little knife cutting on the right vocal. What happened is that I went to, when I was going to the doctor, they had one of those little, the doctor that of all people, my dentist, I said, because I was feeling something, I couldn't yodel like when I was playing up at Branson, when I had my theater. And I said to my keyboard player, I said, I believe I'm only singing out of one vocal cord. He said, oh, yeah. He's like, how can I figure that out, But sure enough, I went, and they sent me to Little Rock, Arkansas. He was President Clinton's doctor, and he looked down in there. He said, yep, there's something down in there. I said, well, so he got that big rod, like and opened my mouth, and he put it on you could see it come up and it was covered. He said growth, but it wasn't no growth. He told me to come back and they'll take a piece, biopsy, and see just what it is, And sure enough, it was a big C. And they got it all off, and I went back to see him every 6 months. I go back to see him. It's been now quite a while, more than a year now since I went back and let him look at it. But every time I go back, it's nothing has come back,
Oh, that's great. Well, and obviously your voice came back too, because you're singing just fantastic.
Yeah, that's like I said. The only thing I lost was the low part of hitting low notes. But all the highs, I can hit all the highs the same way before it all happened.
Oh, that's fantastic. Charlie, are there some songs that kind of stick in your mind that you wish you would have recorded and that you passed on over the years?
That I passed on?
Yeah.
Well, let me see. Well, you mean something that I heard or turned down? I'm trying.
Yeah, something that maybe a song that was pitched to you that you turned down, and later on maybe you wish you would have recorded it.
No, I don't believe so. Because I've heard some that I would have liked to have that wasn't pitched to me. I've heard a number of those.
Well, let me turn the coin around, and is there any songs that you recorded that you wish you hadn't?
Um, I don't believe I have. I recorded some that I didn't like as much as I did the other, but I still, by Jack Clemens said we could record them. I made sure that I did the best I could on all of them. But it's just some that I like better than others.
Yep.
I've never sang a song that. In fact, I've been listening. I have an iPod now, and my booking agent, he put I don't know how many songs on an iPod for me, and I go back sometime and listen to all of the album cuts and now as far as the performance that I did on those songs, I always was my worst critic, and I would tell Jack, I can do it a little better. Go over in the corner. I wish it's good enough, and so we went through that a lot. That I always thought I could do it better,
Yeah.
And he would say it's good enough, and he put me over in the corner. And now I go back and listen. I said, "Boy, he was right." I mean, to me now, I listen to it a little bit more, not as critical as I did back when I was doing them.
Yeah. Well, you are certainly staying busy. You're still doing a lot of tour dates and traveling all over the world. How are the audiences when you go overseas? Is it different playing overseas than it is here in the United States?
It's just a matter of a response to the songs. Over there, most of them, especially in Ireland, they sing every note of every song I get ready to sing.
I believe it.
And Crystal Chandeliers is like a anthem over there. The walls tremble when I go into that song.
Country music is very popular over there. We get a lot of requests. We have a lot of listeners overseas, and our show rebroadcasts through the night so that they can listen to it at a nice good time for them. It's not the middle of the night, and we get a lot of requests for good country music from overseas.
Huh.
Do you have any plans to record a new album?
Yeah, in fact, I wish we had it already. We were behind already, and we're gathering songs now too. The guy that was on American Idol, he's been wanting to produce me an album on me for a long time, and we're trying to get all the songs together now. His name was Randy Jackson on American Idol, and so that's what we're trying to do right now. And he's involved with doing my the life story of my movie, like Loretta Lynn and Ray Charles and Johnny Cash and all that.
Oh, that's outstanding.
Getting ready to do that on my life story. So I'm sliced up like a piece of pie. I'm stretched out like a rope, Scott.
Well, I think that's great. Well, I know, of course we didn't touch on a lot of stuff, but I kind of wanted to talk about your music. I'm sure you've done so many interviews and you probably answer the same questions, and I kind of wanted to ask you about some of your songs,
Yeah, but that's all right. That, sometimes different people that interview me ask the same question a different way, and it don't come out always like it's the same thing,
Yeah. Well, it's charleypride.com. And what was your thoughts and reactions when you were inducted into the Hall of Fame, Charley?
Well, it was just wonderful. The thing is, it's before I found out. See, my wife and my booking agent was aware of it for a whole month before I was, and I had my two grandboys, and they're all grown now, and they had them with me there, and we were standing there. When I say we, I mean Bud Wendell had a little piece of paper in his hand. He got up there, and that's when they were changing from the old Hall of Fame to the new one. And so he went up and said, "This guy's from Shreveport, Louisiana," and started naming the songs off that he had recorded. They ended up being Fair and Young. So I'm standing there beside of Brenda Lee, and she had a paper in her hand. I said, "Brenda, why I don't have a cheat sheet of paper in my hand?" She said, well, all they want to do is ask you about what's the difference, how you feel about the difference in the old Hall of Fame and the new one. I said, well, I don't need a paper, pay for that. So now, that's so that's the way she expressed it all. So she goes up, ladies and gentlemen. Now I'm aware that Perrin is going in. That Bud Reynolds introduced him to go in the Hall of Fame, right?
Uh-huh.
But now look what she said to me. I'm just gonna. But she's up there to what? She walks up, says, "Ladies and gentlemen, this is why sometimes you need bifocals." Says this fella, he came from a little town in Mississippi. Bought his first guitar when he was 14 from Sears Roebuck. And so I'm listening to this, and all of a sudden, I'm fixing to go in the Hall of Fame. And right now, I get chill bumps when I try to tell this, Scott. I mean, and I'm standing, my two kids sitting on the floor right by me, and when she said, "Come," when the people started applauding, I went up there and I said, "Abba, couldn't say now. I don't know what to say." So that's the way that happened, and because I mean, he just so when Merle Haggard, each artist that goes in the Hall of Fame can be, they can designate whoever they want to induct them into the Hall of Fame. I've inducted two myself so far, which was Jack Clement and Ferlin Husky.
Oh wow!
So you can, of course, Loretta was one. She really wanted to do it, and I didn't. That's why I would say to give me a choice. Nothing I got against Merle, but we worked together way more than Merle and I did. But I'll never forget this. Merle let me use his band the first time I had him on a big show up in Detroit.
Did he?
Well, I mean, all of my peers been really good to me. So that's the way that came about. I feel I've been back now about 2 or 3 times to see. They kind of move in that, will the circle be unbroken? But I'm on the circle with all the rest of them, and I've looked at it, and I go in and stand sometime by it and let some people take pictures of me with it at the Hall of Fame. So it's a wonderful feeling.
Oh, you bet. I'm sure it is. And you're in there with all of your idols and all of your heroes, and now people are looking at you, and you're their hero and you're their idol. And
yeah, it kind of works that way.
Yeah. I forgot to ask you. I wanted to ask you about a song you recorded with George Jones called "I'll Bring the Bottle."
Well, see, I didn't know that. I didn't know they had finished that. I didn't know George went back and finished that. It was an unfinished song, and now I'd like to hear it and see how it turned out. But it was. I liked it, to tell you but I haven't heard a copy of it since people were telling me they must have went out back in and finished it. Well, I didn't know.
I'll be darned.
RC, it did. Before it never was finished as far as I was concerned. But I guess they went back and did it before he passed away.
It was released on 16th Avenue Records.
It was?
Yeah, some years ago. I'll tell you what I'll do. I will send a copy to your manager, and he can get it to you.
Oh, that'd be wonderful. Because I don't have it.
Well, we'll make sure you get it. We play it on the show quite often, so I'll make sure I'll send one to John, and I want to thank him, too, for setting up the interview today. And, Charlie, a lot of folks don't get a chance to say this directly to you, and so I'm going to say it. I really want to thank you for the wonderful music and memories and the songs that have, touched my life, and the enjoyment that I've gotten, and I want to thank you for that.
Well, you're welcome.
And it's been a pleasure to have you on My Kind of Country, and I want to thank you so much for taking the time.
Okay, I sure hope I get that. Be looking forward to getting that George Jones deal in mind.
I will get it. I will email to John, and I'll get a copy to you for sure. And I'll tell you what, we're going to play that right now. How about that? We're going to play "I'll Bring the Bottle." Here's George Jones and Charley Pride, and thank you so much, Charley Pride, for being on My Kind of Country.